Welcome to Daily Armor. Today we're going to be in Psalms chapter 4, looking at all 7 verses. I think there's 7 verses, 8 verses, all 8 verses of Psalms chapter 4. When we look at what verse number 1 says, "Hear me when I call, O God of my righteousness. Thou hast enlarged me when I was in distress." We're seeing here that this is a person that loves the Lord, but they're going through a very difficult time. It doesn't really tell us a lot about the enemy, a lot about the situation, a lot about what they're going through. But as I'm thinking about things that we all go through, and we're all in a different state, a different point in our life, you may be going through just a tremendous amount of grief over the loss of a loved one. You may be going through the battle for your life, physically for your life, that you are physically, being attacked from the enemy within of some kind of disease, whether it's heart disease, diabetes, cancer, whatever that is going on in your life. And that can be, there's so many things, chronic pain, just all kinds of suffering. There's so many distresses out there, and they can get very, very intense. And that's kind of where I want you to think about this Psalms number 4 is, if you're not in that time of your life right now, remember back when you have been in that time of your life. And think about that when we read the rest of this psalm. And it says, "Hear me when I call, O God of my righteousness. Thou hast enlarged me when I was in distress." So even in the middle of our distresses, He can grow us. That's what that enlarged me. Broaden us, grow us. There's things that He can do for us in the middle of that distress, in the middle of that just terrible situation. When I was in distress, in the middle of it, while we're in it, have mercy upon me and hear my prayer. Hear my prayer. And we have that access. If you're saved, you have that access. And, what better time than when you are in distress, when you are going through a terrible ordeal, when sometimes you don't even have words, you don't even know what to say. And that's where a lot of times I'll grab the Bible and I will look for a psalm that is saying what I'm going through, that I'm having a loss for words. And I will search out a psalm that is really summing up what I would like to pray and say to the Lord. Verse number 2 says, "O ye sons of men, how long will ye turn my glory into shame? How long will ye love vanity and seek after leasing?" Leasing means lies. This is for those that are not following the Lord, and you're looking at the way they're doing things, and you don't want to go that route. You don't want to handle things that way. You don't want to go to those different kind of crutches that others lean on. Because it's not helping, it's not fixing the problem, it's not helping the situation. It's a lot of times it's only making it worse. But verse number 3, it starts with that but know that the Lord hath set apart him that is godly for Himself. The Lord will hear when I call unto Him. So we have to understand that the way that we see others handle stress, when they're not leaning on the Lord for it, when they're going through a horrible time and they're not confiding in the Lord, they're not searching out the Lord, they're not seeking the Lord, remind yourself that you belong to Him and that He has set you apart. You are distinct, you are different. You are not because you're so special, but because God said He made you distinguished. He made you separated. He wants you to do things a different way. There's a lot of things through my walk with the Lord that He has told me to stop doing, because He wanted me to turn those, when I have those things come in my life, and you do as well, and we all have them. We all go through these things. He doesn't want us to go to these crutches that the world likes to go to. And there's so many. I'm not even going to give light to any of those. There's just so many. But He has set us apart, him that is godly, for Himself. For Himself. He's reminding me and He's reminding you that you have access to Him. He has set you apart. You're different. You don't have to go to those crutches. You don't have to seek out those things the way that others may do. And they look like they're getting along. They look like they're coping, but they're really miserable on the inside. That's why they have to keep going back and keep going back. And they'll say, I can quit anytime I want to. I just don't want to. That's really just an excuse because they've got that drive, because that's their crutch. And God's saying, you don't need that stuff because you have me, and I've set you apart. I've set you aside. And he says for himself. And that just, when I think about that, for himself, he thought I was somebody that he wanted to set apart for himself. I mean, that blows my mind. That blows my mind. And here again in verse number 3, and the Lord will hear when I call unto him. He's saying, all you got to do is talk to me about it. You have access to my communication, which is going to give you comfort and guidance and counsel and strength and power and healing and mending and all these things that in these situations that we have need of. What are we to do? We are to stand in awe. That's the first thing we need to do. We need to stop, stand in awe. Stop and look at how big God is. Stop and look at how great God is. That's what I was doing yesterday. I was thinking about all of my problems and others' problems and those griefs and struggles that I have and concerns for others. And I was thinking, Lord, what do we do? How do we battle against those things? And he's like, think about how great I am. And I'm bigger than that enemy that's out there. It doesn't matter if they've got 900 iron chariots and horses. It doesn't matter how big and large they are. It doesn't matter what the enemy is or who the enemy is. That when you compare it to him, then we're going to stand in awe and know that even though we're grieving, even though that we're in pain, even though that it seems like that we're being defeated and that it's just getting worse and worse, whatever the situation may be, stop, be still, and stand in awe. Recognize that he is so amazing that we should fear making a move. We should fear going to those ways that the world does. We should fear, going on a binge of alcohol or drugs, or even going to do some retail therapy. I'm going to feel better if I can just buy something. I'll feel better if I can make a purchase. I'm going to give myself something. All these things that the flesh is seeking. The flesh is seeking relief. It just is needing relief. Yet, I just got a text that my aunt just passed away. That is seeking relief, and we can't go and handle it in the flesh. But what we can do is stand in awe and stop and be afraid to make a move without him and be excited because through him, he's going to do it. He's going to give the victory. When I took us the other day to the book of Judges chapter 4, they were to go to Mount Tabor, and God sent the victory. He sent the storm of a lifetime in the middle of a drought against people who worshiped a weather god that doesn't exist, and he used the weather against them to defeat them and cause their strength to actually be their weakness. So when you're looking at the enemy and you think this enemy is too strong, it's never too strong for God, and we need to stand in awe and sin not. That's talking about don't go and do it everybody else's way. Don't go and do it the worldly way. The way don't do it what the flesh wants. Don't answer to the flesh. Sin not. Sin not. Be afraid to make a move without him. Watch for him. Look for him. What else can we do? Let's look at verse number 5. Offer the sacrifices of righteousness and put your trust in the Lord. Offer. So you're going to stop and you're going to stand in awe, and you're going to realize he is worthy to be praised. He is worthy to wait on, to wait for. Don't let me do anything in my strength, even if it's just a little bit of something. I don't want to add to anything. I want to wait and see what he does. I don't want to make a move without him. I don't want to sin against God. I want to wait on him. I want to heed his instructions. I want to submit. That submission is really, really hard, to make the flesh submit. Oh my gosh, it's so hard. But the more we do it, then we're exercising that faith muscle. We're exercising that. We're getting stronger in it, and it becomes easier and easier and easier to do, because he shows us what we're waiting for. And he, just like he gave the victory in the book of Judges chapter 4, and then they sang about it in Judges chapter 5. You read about the details of it in Judges chapter 5, and all these things that he did, and he sent the rain in a drought. And enough rain to where they were all caught up in the mud, and they were just like sitting ducks. And now all that power that they had actually became their downfall. And God has the ability and the way and the power to do just that. Offer the sacrifices of righteousness and put your trust in the Lord. Do what he wants you to do. That's that. Offer those sacrifices of righteousness. Do what's right. Offer that. Give him that praise. Stop and praise him. And then stop and submit to him, not the flesh, not to others, not to the crowd, not to the, all these, things that we can do, but just stop and do what he wants us to do. And sometimes that's hard, but it's so worth it. It is so worth it. And put your trust when you're doing it. This is what you're doing when we do that. Every time that and I don't always get it right. I mess up a lot. But when I get it right, the Lord is saying, you are putting your trust in me when you do that. Look at the rest of verse number 5. And put your trust in the Lord. Put your trust in the Lord. Be confident. Rely on the Lord. You are saying, Lord, I'm going to do it your way, even though it looks like it's going to make things worse, even though it looks like I'm just a sitting duck, even though it looks like I'm just, Lord, I'm going to target on me. And he's saying, but I remind you, you're set aside for him. And he's like, and my power exceeds anybody's power, anything's power, no matter what the situation, no matter what the tragedy, that there's nothing, even though your pain is great, my love is greater, is what he's saying. And put your trust in that. Don't trust in what you see. Don't trust in what you're feeling. Don't trust in what the flesh is screaming at you, but trust in the Lord. In verse number 7, or verse number 6, I'm sorry, about to skip one. There may be many that say, who will show us any good? Lord, lift thou up the light of thy countenance upon us. You're going to have those that are, it's not just what the flesh is saying, it's what those are screaming at you. How is any good going to come of this? I don't know. But the Lord's going to shed some light. He's going to shed light somewhere. He's going to shed light. Verse number 7. This is his response. This is what he gives us back. When we offer those sacrifices of doing what he wants us to do, then this is how he answers us back. Thou hast put gladness in my heart. Thou hast put it. He give you gladness where you only have sorrow, and you have such sorrow that you think I'm never going to smile again. I'm never going to be happy again. I'm never going to have joy again. And God has a way to put that gladness in our hearts. And yes, you will smile again. And yes, those memories will be precious, and you will laugh and you will have joy. But he's going to put that. He's going to give you that. It's a gift. This is how he responds to when we do what he wants us to do and go against what the flesh and what others want us to do. But when we do what he wants, he says, thou hast put gladness, and this is what we're going to experience. He's going to put some things in our life. He's going to put some people in our lives. He's going to put some strength in your life. He's going to put some power in your life. He's going to put some healing in your life. He's going to put joy. Look at this. Thou hast put gladness in my heart, more than in the time that their corn and their wine increase. More. It's going to be so overwhelming that it's going to be more than that horrible, that what everything else out there looks like, that's getting worse and worse and worse. And the enemy, and they're boasting. The enemy's like cancer, saying, oh, I got you. We're at the end. I've got you. And the Lord's like, put so much gladness in your heart. Then when the disease is like, oh, I got you. I'm fixing to take you out of here. And the Lord's putting gladness in your heart. And you're saying, oh my word, this is so much better than the worst that they can give, that they dish out. This is so much better. What he has in store for us is so much better. My aunt, who just passed, she's gotten so much better than that disease, than that bacterial infection that was just taking her away, than what it was doing to her body. She's got so much more joy today because of that. Verse number 8. How perfect for me to get this. Verse number 8. I will both lay me down in peace and sleep, for thou, Lord, only makest me dwell in safety. Thou hast put gladness in my heart. And then when you put gladness in your heart, when he puts that there, when his grace and his mercy, and it just pours all out on you, and you're like, oh Lord, I'm ready to go. Whether it's you're ready to go to heaven, or you're ready just to lay down, and now I can live peaceably. Verse number 8, I will both lay me down. That's rest. In peace. That's soundness, safety, and sleep. Lay me down to sleep. That's rest in peace. And my aunt is resting in peace. She's resting in peace because God gave her gladness in her heart. And it exceeded what all this disease was trying to take from her. And she's still alive. She's living. She knew where she was going. And she's resting in peace. Rest in peace, Aunt Martha. Thank you for joining me. I look forward to seeing you again soon.